All right, happy Sunday, everyone. This is episode number 19 of Shut Up and Grind with your host, Robert B. Foster. That is I. So I'm being joined today with Leonard. Say hi to the folks, Leonard.
Hello, everyone.
All right, we're going to get to Leonard in a moment. So again, if this is your first time joining me on the show, we keep it MEET, I call it, MEET, motivational, educational, entertaining, and if you apply what we teach you today, it'll be transformational. All right, so that's the acronym of MEET. So today we're going to talk about additional streams of income, how to take your business to the next level. Well, if you're an entrepreneur, how to get to becoming a business owner, like a true business owner. And if you are already a business owner, how to take that to the next level. And Leonard's going to talk to you about becoming a legend in your industry. So we're going to dive right in. So first, who is Leonard? So Leonard, he's down in Florida, right?
Yep, South
down
Florida.
There in sunny Florida. I'm jealous. And he is a business coach. He's a marketing coach. He's a thought leader. And I love this one, an income stream savant. That's savage. That's a savage title.
You know,
I love it.
It's the income stream savant.
Oh, my bad. Got to get that "the" in there.
Got to get it in there.
Right? Like I call myself the man. Like man would just sound stupid. So it's got to be the
man. yes. Got to be specific.
All right, sir. All right, so let's dive in. So how did you start doing what you're doing?
It really started at a young age. You know, my mom started me at about 9 years old. She took me to these Russ Whitney seminars at the hotel, sitting there. I was the designated note taker at 9. I don't know why, but I'm glad she did that because it just got me used to being the one to write this stuff down, and then I'd have to go back and explain it to her. Yeah. So as a young kid, you know, just she put business in my bones and like just in me completely. Because she wanted me to grow up and not be confined to just what I see around me.
Yes.
You know, and so really thankful for her to doing that and really starting me out on my journey as an entrepreneur into a business owner. You know, because the difference is stark.
Yes.
But she started all of that, has been extremely supportive all along the way, to the point where sometimes I feel like a little too much.
Yeah.
Because it's always great to have support. Never turn it down. But there comes a point, and I learned this. It took a long time for me to learn this, that you have to say no to support sometimes, because so much support gives you a way out, and then it doesn't push you to really pull out what's in you to succeed.
So. That's awesome. And so many people struggle with that on different levels, even in fitness. Like we have climbing walls and we have obstacle stuff, and there are times where I tell people, no, don't help her over the wall. Like she needs to learn to get over the wall by herself, he or she. So in business, you're right, it's exactly the same thing. So in your bio, you said, so you help entrepreneurs become business owners become legends. So I'm sure there's a process there. So take me through the first step of the process.
Well, the very first step of the process is understanding what an entrepreneur is. You know, a lot of people, I did it myself. You know, I had this idea that I felt was an incredible idea. I went out, I got business cards, I put CEO on the business card, and then I was off to the races, and I never even had a customer. You know, and the dangerous part about that is because there's a different way to operate when you're an entrepreneur and when you're a CEO.
Yes.
But amazingly enough, because we've titled ourselves a CEO, even without recognizing it, we start operating as a CEO.
Yeah.
You know, what a CEO does is operate systems. That's what they do. And what we start doing is trying to put a system in place so that we can then go sell our thing.
Yes.
You know, that's extremely backwards. It's why many businesses just fail, you know, flat out right out the gate. And when you understand that an entrepreneur is the person that solves the problem and you start there, you can already see how different those roles are.
Yes.
And so the very first thing is understanding who you are as an entrepreneur, and that entrepreneurial hat that you have has to always be there in arm's reach. Even when you become a CEO, you want to remain a CEO, you need to be sometimes reach back and get that entrepreneur hat and figure out what problem you're solving so you can continue to serve the people.
There it is. I was gonna jump in with that part. Like, I know you want to dive into creativity, but that part right there is huge. the people that I work with, I ask them that question. So who's your target market? And people always want to say, this works for everyone. And
Right.
people don't realize that when you do things that works for everyone, you just become another fish in the sea.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like they got to make themselves stand out. And that's where I believe, you know, your point about creativity comes in. And you can go ahead and talk more about that.
Right. You know, all of us are creative. You know, there's a ton of people that feel like they aren't, you know, but think about it for a second. This is something that I always think about, which is we're created by the image, we're created in the image of the greatest creator of all time, God.
Yep.
It's designed in our DNA to be creative. You know, like even if you don't believe in God, like, do you have a child? You know, have you co-created a son or a daughter? Like, have you ever told a lie? You know, like we're all creative. It's just we have to realize that, and then that then begins to allow us to tap into it and increase our creativity. Like when you're working out with people, like regardless of the size of their muscle, what does it take to build muscle? Like they have to exercise that muscle.
Yeah.
You exercise your creativity, you get better and better. It's just a foregone conclusion. You know,
Yep.
like we were created so, or we're so creative, we create an entire story about why we aren't creative.
Yeah.
It's the same thing.
Yep.
Right.
So I had a therapist on. She was on my second episode, and she had said that from way back when, like back in the caveman days, back when we were hunter gatherers, we seek out the negative for survival. So if you're walking out there and you hear things in the woods, like, what is that? What is that? You know, you're constantly on the defense. And so now we have all these conveniences, but our DNA is still the same. So people naturally seek out the what won't work instead of what can or will work.
Right, right. I mean, the same thing with exercise. It goes back to our brain. Like your brain is your greatest ally. Your brain is constantly trying to help you accomplish what you want to do.
Yep.
The problem is the question you ask is at the center of it all, and also the way you trained it. So if you train your brain to, or if you constantly start something and stop, your brain will automatically look for excuses why you should stop the next thing.
Yes.
Because it's just the way you trained it. So yeah, it all goes back to the way that we're training our minds, our bodies. You know, everything responds that way.
Yeah. And you said the key sentence earlier, because that gives them a way out.
Yeah.
And that's why most people stay comfortable instead of getting to where they actually want to be. So, like a gentleman 2 podcasts ago, David had said the person that hits rock bottom is going to be more motivated to succeed than a person who's making 60,000 a year and can pay all their bills. Because that person's comfortable. There's nothing pushing them. So I feel when it comes to making that shift from entrepreneur to business owner, there's got to be something pushing you there. So what do you see in your experience with that?
The most important thing is your why. Like if you don't know why you're doing something, or if your why isn't strong enough, you haven't dug deep enough to discover the true thing behind your why, the root of it all,
Yeah.
then you're always gonna quit. You know, because you haven't given yourself a reason not to.
Yeah.
You know, the desire to remain comfortable, and that's really what it all boils down to. Like what you're doing, wherever you're at, like we say we want to stop or we want something more, but what we don't want is the uncomfortability that comes with gaining that thing.
Yes.
You know, one of my mentors, Myron Golden, says that people aren't willing to be bad at something long enough to get good at it.
Yeah.
And that's really what it boils down to.
Yep.
You know, like you have to make your desire to actually do whatever it takes to get that thing, like make a decision. Look it up Greek, like it means you cut off everything except what you decided to do.
Yeah.
Like that's when you now have that's the guy who's at the rock bottom. Like he doesn't have a choice.
Yeah.
There's a story Myron tells about eagles. He's like, what percent of eagles can't fly? None. They all can fly. They get pushed out the nest over and over until they get it right.
That's right.
Right? And the point he makes is that when we jump out of the nest, or when we feel we've been pushed out of the nest, we grab onto the first branch that actually holds us,
Yep.
and we sit there and stay comfortable, hoping that one day someone will take us to the next spot.
Yep.
But everyone else is already soaring and flying. So it's up to you to do that.
Yes. The irony in all of this is that people will stay committed to things that don't serve you. Like smokers, people know there's nothing good comes from smoking. Nothing. Not one doctor has ever prescribed cigarettes for stress and anxiety. But yet people will hold on to it for life. People will stay in a bad relationship that's not going anywhere. But then you present something that's positive and there's resistance.
Yeah.
It makes no sense to me.
Yeah. Like I've heard so many complaints about COVID shutting businesses down and everything. And like when you really take a step back and look at it, COVID opened the doors for like tens of thousands of people to become millionaires.
Yeah.
Like all of those, I had a friend from New York call me maybe like 3 or 4 days ago, and she was talking about the Cheesecake Factory is closing now.
Yeah.
And they had one of her favorite cheese. I'm like, oh wow. And then immediately my mind said, man, like somebody should really open up a cheesecake business and kind of just take hold of the news that's going on with the Cheesecake Factory. And now their cheesecakes are going to, like, you can't go to the Cheesecake Factory no more.
Yeah.
Where are you going to go?
Yeah.
Make like a homage to cheesecake in memory of cheesecake. And it's because I don't know if you can necessarily say their name still, but like in the memory of that's kind of designated to them.
Yeah.
And if you're a fan of the Cheesecake Factory, you're probably going to want to at least try it out just because it's in memory of them. It's the time to allow your creativity to first pay attention to where the doors are opening up and stop looking at the ones that are closing.
Yes, and a lot of that too, it's from generational brainwashing. Like I say this all the time. Yeah, when you and I spoke before off camera, I had mentioned that it's generational brainwashing. Right from a young age, we're taught the life cycle. You go school, college, work, retire, die. Like that's the life cycle that everyone's taught. And now what COVID did, yes, it definitely decimated a lot of industries, like events, weddings, photography, like so many different restaurants are hurting and closing. But the ones that have the foresight and the vision to pivot to say, all right, this is happening. What else can I do? And people don't realize that one of the answers is right here. Everybody has a smartphone. And you can take that smartphone and you can have multiple streams of income with that device. Like people already have it and they just need to know how to use it.
Right. And they have to want to know how to use it.
Yes.
Because like, what's the first thing most people do when they're trying to figure something out? They go to Google.
Yeah.
So it's like keep that same energy for everything else, because the only time you fail is when you quit. This is it. No one ever looks at Jordan and is like, oh, he's not a winner. Yeah. Even though he failed a few times before they started winning.
Yeah.
He didn't make the team in high school. So it's like there are all these moments where he kept pushing. Like the only time that he would have failed is if he would have stopped. Then he's labeled like, okay, I failed. Exactly. But as long as you keep pushing, as long as you keep pressing, like you never fail. You figure it out. And then they're like, oh, you're an overnight success.
Yep. Exactly. Right. To go along with what you said about having your why, I think equally as important, it's your vision. It's like, what do you see? What do you see? Because like people, again, not to keep picking on smokers, but like smokers know that you increase your likelihood of getting cancer. So like they know they should quit. That's a pretty solid why, because I can get cancer, but yet they keep doing it. And the ones that quit, I mean, obviously there's millions of people out there who've quit. So the handful that I know that quit have said they're like, I'm done. I'm just done. They made that decision. Like they didn't quit because anything that you quit, you can restart. So they said, they said, I'm done. Like, I don't want that anymore. And I think the same holds true with casting the vision for what you want. So when I started this podcast, I didn't know what the heck I was doing. Little did I know it was super easy to start. But it now said I'm booked out through March. You know what I mean? But it's like I saw what I wanted, put the steps in, and here we are. And hopefully a year from now, we're like national, international, you know, so. Right,
I mean,
so go ahead.
I was gonna say you're 100% correct. Right? It's the why and the vision. Excuse me, because like the vision is the thing that you want, the thing you desire. After you decide exactly what it is that you want, you know, you take some time to figure that out, and then that's the thing that fuels your why. So,
Yes.
excuse me, if my why is strong enough, and then I know where it is that I want to go, now it's just important to not look too far ahead. And I think people want to make the entire bridge right away from where they are to where they want to get.
Yes.
And it's like, look, just like know the next step to get there. Because if you haven't done step 2 and you're frustrated trying to figure out step 6, it's like, dude, like step 6 will probably change by the time you get there.
It's so
Focus
true.
on getting step 2 done, or you'll get step 6 complete finally. And now when you go back to start, everything else has changed.
Yeah.
Which then means you got to change everything all over again. So it's like, just take that next step and always focus on the thing that's important for you to take that next step towards your goal. So yeah, definitely the vision.
Yeah, and it's the same thing in fitness. People will say, "Oh, I still need 20 pounds to go." I'm like, "Don't worry about the 20 pounds to go. Focus on today. Crush today. And then you crush tomorrow. And then you crush the next day. And then next thing you know, those 20 pounds are going to be gone." You know,
Yeah.
it's like you just got to take focused daily action. And that's the key to making that next step. So now let's say I'm a business owner now. How do
Right.
I become a legend?
Right. The way you become a legend is you become that go-to person in your industry. You know, like if I'm like, okay, I want to work out. You know, I haven't worked out seriously in a long time. I hear RBF Fitness has got it going on. Let me go hit Robert up. Robert, like, I want to lose like 50 pounds. I want to get back to what I was benching in high school. And then we start a program. We start doing things, right?
Yep.
And now I run into someone a month later and they're like, hey, did you know that there are these 5 things that, or these 5 foods that just blast away fat that most people don't know about? Like, oh, wait, most people don't know about them. Well, I'm thinking, hey, I'm with Robert. Right. Robert already told me these things.
Yeah.
So if they tell me 5 things that you didn't tell me, what happens? Now they've started to steal me away from you.
Yeah.
And I don't see you as the leader anymore. I don't see you as the person that knows it all. What I think is because you didn't tell me, you don't know.
Yeah.
And so the way that you become a thought leader is just like we talked about with those steps along the bridge, along like one step at a time. You need to think about the journey that you want your customers to go on, your clients. Like, where's the destination that they want to be at? And when they get there, what's the next destination?
Yeah.
There was a motivational speech I heard once. It was like, once you get to the top of the mountain, find a bigger mountain.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like there's always going to be this next step, because I learned this from Steve Larson. Whenever you solve a problem, you create a problem. It just happens.
Yep.
It's just natural. Like, you can't help it. You'll never solve every single problem, and it's just because until you get to that point, you're not even conscious that there's a problem there. Like, people want to be rich, right?
Yeah.
They have no idea of the problems that come along with being rich. But once they're rich, now they're like, oh, well, now I have to deal with this.
Yeah.
And so that's how you become a legend in your industry, because you're always thinking about that next step. And most companies are only thinking about one.
Yeah.
They're only thinking about their current product, and that's it. So we learn how to basically look in the future and
Yeah.
see what those next needs are going to be, and provide them.
So now, does it depend what industry you're in? Because like as I'm listening to you talk, I'm trying to, because like I focus more on service-based businesses because they definitely solve a specific problem. But what if you're someone that sells, like, I don't know, you have like a consignment shop?
So, all right, here's the thing. When you look at a consignment shop, you think, okay, it's a physical address. It's a brick and mortar.
Yeah.
But it's not tied to only being a brick and mortar. You know, For any travel agents out there, I'm gonna give you this one, right? Because I own my own travel agency. I was actually going to do a course teaching some stuff to some travel agents, and I just got busy. So this is free for you right now. Right now, in the midst of COVID, you can take over the travel industry from Expedia and all of them. They can't do anything near to the extent that you can. Right now, as a travel agent, you can also contact these chefs in Italy, because a lot of people go to Italy and they want to try the food. They want to go to the market. Just think about the destinations and what those destinations offer. So contact some chefs, ask them to do a live cooking demo, have a Facebook group, get people on your list, start making them pay a membership, even if it's only 15, 20 bucks a month, to be a part of this membership where you're bringing in cooks from all over the world to do cooking demos. Like now Expedia can't offer that, right? So you become a travel agency that also has a membership program. On top of that, the why they'll do it is because when these places open back up, what relationship was just created? So now you have a relationship with these chefs so that when you bring people there, they can actually be there live and go there for dinner or do a live cooking class where now they're the ones that are part of the teachers, in a sense, teaching new people who are there. It's so crazy how easy it is. You just have to think outside of the box.
Yes.
You know?
Yes. Gonna think of the what can be.
Right. And travel agency is a service business. But when you look at all the additional things that you can add on, instead of someone downloading Duolingo to learn another language, contact someone in the country who's a part of the tourism board to actually teach the language. That's a very different experience now.
Yeah.
And it's a part of your membership. So now they're not just learning from an app, they're learning from someone who's actually there, who, when they take a trip there, they can actually link up with, and now they have a completely different experience, because I'm not just in this country, for the first time or whatever, and trying to get by with sign language. Like, I'm actually there with people I know who have been studying this language, and now I'm fluent, or at least getting to a place where I'm fluent, and my experience is better because of it, because they appreciate it.
That was awesome. that was awesome. Yeah. I was working with someone that has a restaurant, and same thing, saying, because they can only do 50% of the capacity now. And I was like, well, this is where you have to talk to your chef and you have to be creative. Maybe have some grab and go stuff. Some people are doing curbside. I said, start a YouTube channel and teach some of the recipes. Obviously, you don't want to give away your best stuff because you want people to come into the restaurant. But just there's so many different ways that you can spin around it. Like, it might be out of the scope of what you enjoy doing. Like, I didn't really enjoy doing virtual classes, but when everything got shut down and we had the stay at home orders, I had no choice. Like, if I want to keep the business going, this is what I have to do. But like, I much prefer being live. Same thing with the speaking, although this podcast stuff is growing on me. but I'd much rather be on stage in front of people and get in that personal physical connection. But you have to take what comes to you.
I mean, even with the restaurant owners, with all the different mail order things, like they can start a custom box where they're shipping out meals now. You can order the meal and they ship it out frozen. It's so many different things. It's just a matter of allowing your creativity to just run wild without limiting it.
Yes.
And then now, even just telling your story, like, what made you create this dish? Like, where did this come from? Now you have a whole menu of stories to tell, that's making people want to connect and do business with you more. So
it's funny. Like, the program I'm creating is called Speak About Yourself. Say me and my acronyms for Speak About Yourself, because we have so much inside that the world needs to hear, and I'm creating an entire program about that. And it can work wide. Like, it can work really, really wide. Whether you're, like you said, that chef has stories, you have stories, I have stories, the people listening all have stories that other people need to hear. And so as COVID's happening and so many people are panicking and people are just thinking it's gloom and doom. Like if we get locked down again, it's gloom and doom. Like, but it doesn't have to be.
Right.
You know,
It doesn't have to be.
let's talk about branding. So as part of becoming a legend, you got to have the right branding. So what are some tips you can give, you know, without emptying the toolbox, you know, just to make people stand out, you know, be the apple in the sea of oranges.
You know, it's interesting. I had this conversation with someone last week, you know, who really wanted to focus on their branding. And honestly, like what people look at is, oh, everyone knows it's Coca-Cola, everyone knows it's McDonald's. Like not because that's what they were focused on. Like what they were focused on is delivering a product that people wanted and liked and enjoyed. Like after that, people started recognizing those things.
Yeah.
I learned this thing like in terms of repeated symbols or words or something like that. I just briefly heard about it a couple of days ago, and that's kind of where Coca-Cola came from. Like that Coca-Cola, like that part right there is why it's easy for people to remember it. Mm-hmm. So like that outside of the extent of that, what I would say to people is let your product speak for itself instead of it doing what you say it'll do. Like over deliver with it, and then as you're trying to make a name for yourself to be recognized, now bring your audience in to help you with those decisions. Like let them make the slogan, like run a contest where they help you with the slogan, like run a contest where they help you with a new logo. Like all of that stuff begins to make them feel an attachment to it, where now they feel like it's a piece of them as well. So in that, when you approach branding from that perspective, it's not, you're not putting something out there for people to see and recognize. You're kind of making a home for people to be like, oh, I'm a part of that, or that that community is mine, you know.
Yeah.
And that's what I would say about branding. Like let your product over deliver, and then let your audience and your customers, not necessarily your audience, but your customers be the ones to actually take it down that road, because that's what's going to make it memorable to them, and that's the most important thing.
So now what about people like myself that's a speaker? So where the brand is me, right? Like there isn't a physical product.
That brand is the t-shirt. What are you talking about? That's the tank top.
You're right.
and I mean it's so funny because, you know, like I was gonna wear a tank top this morning. I was gonna be part of the RBF family. I was like, let me get some push-ups in, so I'm looking right in the tank top and everything. And I'll tell you this. This is when I knew I was in trouble. I went running, and I got in the shower right afterwards, and I felt the next day's soreness, and I was like, already? Oh, it's not gonna be good. but constantly what I was thinking of is just what we talked about with the tank top. Like you have a story of why it's the tank top. And the story is really the thing that's gonna key in on the brand. That's what makes it important to people. When I was saying when they have a part of it, because now your brand is part of their story. They voted for that. They're like, oh man, you see that? Like, oh man, I saw the new Mercedes. It's like, oh, actually, like I voted for the rims. You know, it becomes one of those things. It's a conversation starter.
Yeah.
And so as a speaker, you know, it comes down to more so your delivery.
Yes.
You know, like if you have that appearance, like, yeah, you can have the appearance, and that's something that's going to stand out because it's different. It's like, oh, he's in a tank top and he's still delivering. Yeah. So it doesn't matter what he's wearing. But then on top of that, the way he's delivering. So like you said, it's levels the thing earlier. It's levels to branding, especially as a speaker, because it's so many different ways to get out there and be this guy or the tank top guy. You know, when I worked for Frito-Lay, this was the most embarrassing thing that happened. Well, one of them, I was in the store and he's like, oh, the tip guy. I was like, all right, well, whatever. Then the guy delivering ice came and he said, oh, Iceman. I'm like, why he get the hard name? Like, he's Iceman. I'm just the tip guy. Like, see, I needed to work on my branding. I needed to do better.
That's great. You know, in 2014, so one of my clients, he was very afraid of heights. And so at the gym I was training at the time, we had a big monkey bar tower that had a cargo net at the end of it. So I was having people, they went up 14 feet. So I was having people go up the cargo net and on top of the monkey bar tower and then down the other side. And so he was very afraid of heights. Like, and he tried it a couple of times. He got up there, he's sweating. and he just froze. Like when I had to go up and like actually guide him back down, like he was having a panic attack. And so, you know, it's my job as a coach is to get people out of their comfort zone. So I said, listen, I'll tell you what, I had 27 races scheduled, obstacle races scheduled for that year. And I said, if you do this, I'm gonna give you 30 days. If you do this, I said, I'll wear a tutu in every single race. Every single race. Thinking it was a good bet that he wasn't going to do it. His fear was that strong. But on day 28, bastard did it. So, and I honored my bet, and I even had fun with it too. Like I ended up getting like hot pink spandex pants. Right? I had a peach and pink colored rainbow socks, high knee socks to go with it. I had the rainbow colored tutu. And that whole race season, I was known as the tutu man, you know, because like, it's like, not only was I looking a hot mess, but I was still badass. You know? So I'm still crushing the obstacles, crushing the monkey bars, you know, crushing the carries. And so people look at me at first like, this guy, what the hell is he wearing? But they're like, whoa, he can show out though. So in 2015,
I'm bringing it.
Yeah. So in 2015, I went back to my normal attire, and everyone's like, hey, where's the tutu? Hey, where's the tutu? You know, right. So it's like, it's not business, but that's still, you know, the power of branding.
Exactly. Yeah. And then also he had his why and his vision. He wanted to see in the tutu. And it was the why was stronger than the fear.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that's awesome. All right. So marketing. Do you have any best practices for marketing? Because obviously I know marketing and branding go hand in hand, but they definitely are separate.
Right. Yeah. You know, and I'm glad you pointed that out. A lot of people take them as one and the same, and they're really very far apart. You know, branding is the way people view you. You know, yes. That's on them. That's on their shoulders.
Yeah.
So that's one of the reasons why I say don't necessarily try to force it. You know, let it come naturally as you just make sure you deliver something that makes people proud.
Yes.
When it comes to marketing, just understanding, you know, that you're not your customer. Right? You didn't, you're not buying it. So, yeah. You know, I had a conversation with my best friend when this is a while ago. I was thinking of something to do, and I called him. I was like, oh man, like I'm calling because I really want to know what you think about this thing. And it's blah, blah, blah. So what do you think? And it really doesn't matter what you think. Like literally, that's how I came out. Just like that. And I was like, oh man, like I don't mean it like that. I was just thinking, but like when I'm thinking of this thing, like, you're not the customer for it. And one of the things we love to do is go, hey, friend, family member, what do you think about this? What do you think about this? And then we take what they say as like the rule and customers. So like what they think about it doesn't matter. Nothing against them, but definitely against their thought process behind you making sales.
Yes.
You know, so understanding that, you really want to look at studying your customer. You know, I'll give you one of the things that I teach to do is well, this is actually a recent adjustment I made. I used to do something similar, but this is like step 2. So step 1, ask them. That's the best thing to do. Find out where they are and just ask them their number one challenge, number one whatever is built around what it is you do. Ask them, you want to say number 1 so that you don't get like a million things.
Yeah.
So the number 1 thing, you know, take that, start categorizing it, and then go back and ask, or not ask, but do like a market research survey where you're asking people like what have they tried before? You know, what are their fears? You know, what looks like heaven to them? You know, different things to kind of really what you want to gauge is the things they've tried that they feel hasn't worked before, because then you can actually look at what it is that thing did and use that information to now reach out to other people who've tried it before.
Yeah.
You're asking what are their fears, because by knowing what their fears are, you know, like, and again, market research, I didn't say this, market research is really for you to gather information for your messaging. So this is why you're doing it. So now that you know that, going back to the fears, like when you're using your messaging and you're writing out with your copy, like how to avoid these fears, or you're explaining what their fear feels like. Because more so than actually having a solution to a problem, people think you're the expert if you can explain their problem the way that they feel it.
Yes.
So you'll stand out more than the person saying, hey, I have the solution for headaches right here. And you're saying, man, I understand that when you have a migraine headache and you see bright lights, or you're driving on the road at night and it seems like someone is just like angry at you because all you see is their lights in your mirror. Like, you're explaining what they're going through
Yes.
before you talk about the solution. They're going to pay more attention to you because they feel like you understand them.
Yep.
So as you're going through the market research, you're finding out what their fears are. You're finding out their pains. You're finding out their dreams, so you can talk about where your product or service is going to take them.
Yes.
You know. So yeah, you now the key is it's not to sell them.
Yeah.
So you always want to make sure that you're upfront with that in the beginning, so that it's a comfortable interaction. They're not feeling like you're trying to sell them. They're just being open with you and sharing these things, knowing that at the end of it, you're not going to be like, all right, for $9.99, you can get this, you know, you know, and be genuine about it. Like, I would say almost as important as your why is you caring about people and being genuine.
Yes. To that point too, though, that's actually how I teach sales. like I'm not selling the product, I'm selling the solution to your problem.
Exactly.
Right. You know, so like I would go through all that and be like, all right, listen, so if you want to fix that, this is what I can do for you. You know what I mean? So like that's not selling. That's like, all right, you just told me all of these things you're struggling with.
Right.
Like, I have a solution that can help ease that struggle.
So there's actually, so the way that I do mine, right? Usually in the very beginning, what I ask a question that makes them comfortable and makes them smile.
Yep.
So like I did one recently with authors. And so my very first question was, why did you become an author? Like, how did you start writing? And all of them immediately they smiled. And because and as we went through it, like all of them asked me to follow up with them when I was done with it.
Yeah.
Because they wanted to buy it. And that's the greatest feeling, when you're not even trying to sell, like you're not, like literally, this is what happened. So one of them, they weren't just interested in me reaching back. They were like, no, I want to start now.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, I was being honest when I said I wasn't trying to sell you. Like I need to build the web, like the funnel, so you can actually go pay for it. It's like it's not ready. So that was great, because literally I had to go and build it really quick just so they could pay for it.
It's a good problem to have.
Right.
So here's my thoughts on branding. So who's been the #1 basketball player for like the last decade? LeBron James, right? He's the current king. He sold $34 million in shoes and apparel last year. Michael Jordan has been out of the league for 2 decades, and he sold $136 million.
Right.
That's insane. That branding is intense. And I'll be out and about and I'll see kids wearing Jordan gear. I was like, do you know who that is? They're like, no. But they know that's what you wear.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, you know, for people that try to make the GOAT debate, you know, between Jordan and LeBron, it's like you can make the Lifetime Achievement Award for LeBron. Like he's battling Kareem for that. But as far as pure greatness, I mean, dude, you can't outsell currently a dude who retired 2 decades ago. I mean, that tells you how strong the Jordan brand is.
Right. Well, so if you want to take it a step further, Jordan was never marketing himself.
Yeah.
LeBron is always marketing himself.
Yeah.
So that makes it even worse.
Exactly. Exactly. You're right. He's constantly campaigning for himself.
Constantly. Yeah. Yeah, I never even
Uh,
really paid attention to that. That's awesome.
Yep. Yeah, yep. Those are hard facts. I'm like, that's insane to me. $100 million more.
Wow,
Yeah, but that's proof of the power of branding.
that
So,
is.
right. So let's talk about the income stream Savant.
Yes.
All right. So what exactly does that title mean, and what are the best ways for people to have multiple streams of income?
The absolute best way, like the best way hands down, is really simple. Right? You find one problem, you
Yeah.
solve that one problem for one group of people for 1 year, and that's it.
Yeah.
It's very simple. Because what happens is for a year you're continuously talking. So let me be a little more specific. Actually, we could talk about myself. So the reason that I did this market research with authors is because um, when I started my program, I was future. I was thinking ahead. Okay, what are the problems that I'm going to have, or that people are going to feel are become associated with this program? And so, one of them is, I don't know if this will work for my business. That's usually across the board. A lot of people think
Yeah.
that
Yep.
for everything.
Yep. Yeah. My
And
industry is
so,
different.
right. And so I was like, okay, well, in order to combat that, what I'll do is work with someone from every industry every couple of months, so that I can use their testimony as a case study, so that if someone over here says, okay, I don't think this will work for me, I'm an author, I can say, well, I got this author 5 figures in less than 6 weeks.
Yep.
And so that was the
Exactly.
purpose behind it. So
Yep.
the way that I came upon that, and I'll be upfront and honest, like I didn't want to do it because I was really in love with my messaging.
Yeah.
And I was like, it fits when I say business owners, right? So I was like, I'll narrow it down. Maybe I'll say 5-figure business owners. I help I help business owners with 6-figure businesses that are trapped inside of a 5-figure prison. Like along those lines. Right? And so I realized this early on because I'm a marketer.
Yeah.
You're not speaking to one group of people. You're speaking to everyone. I'm like, but I like my messaging. And so I
Yeah.
just kept going, and then I just pushed myself. I said, okay, I'm going to take a step back and narrow it down. And so when you do that, it allows you to become a champion for a group of people. And when you become a champion for a group of people, like you don't have to worry about sales.
Yep.
It's like you're Jordan to them in a
Yep.
sense.
It's true.
So that 100 million increase over the next person is going to be there automatically because they've seen you constantly over and over again. Your
Yep.
messaging has always stayed the same. It's never wavered. It's never made them upset because it's always geared towards understanding their pain points and getting them to the destination that they want to be at.
Yeah.
So your consistency is incredible to them.
Yep.
And now once you do that and you start, like we said before, looking at the next problems that are going to come, like, you can't help but now have multiple streams of income just from that one problem that you're solving.
Yep.
That's focused on one group of people for 1 year.
Yep.
It makes itself because you see the results, you see
Yep.
their next problems, and you just address them.
See, and to piggyback off of that, the person I was working with the other day, like he trains basketball athletes also. And I said, so now what things do you need to be good at basketball? You need to be fast. You need to dribble, pass, shooting, defense, lateral movement. So jumping, there's so many different phases to it. I said, and I just gave you, headings, titles for 8 online products. you can do a training series to become a better rebounder, training series to become a better shooter. You know what I mean? It's like if you just give somebody a 1-hour session and you cover everything, like you just destroy your earning potential. Like you say, all right, we're going to do a 6-week program on rebounding. Now we're going to do a 6-week program on jump shots, 6-week program on free throw shooting. So within that same scope, you just break it down into different streams. Like in fitness, there's people that don't sell supplements. Like, oh, I don't believe in supplements. Okay, it's not about you.
Right.
Are your clients coming in with shaker cups? Are they coming in with protein bars? Are they coming in with shakes? Because you might not believe in it, but they're getting it from somewhere else.
Right.
So you may as well, they already know you, like you, trust you, and pay you, you know, for your gym service. So
Right.
give them that opportunity to get those from you as well. Like apparel, a lot of people sell t-shirts. I have t-shirts, sweatpants, socks, headbands, winter hats, 3/4 zip pullover, zip up sweatshirt. I don't have them on today, but I have wristbands. Like right down the list. Like there's so many different things, and a lot of places they just sell t-shirts. And it's
Right.
like, again, you know, look at what they're coming in with. Are they coming in with shirts that say beast mode? Get a logo shirt that says beast mode on the back.
Right.
Right? It's like, let them rep you.
or actually, RBF beast mode, which is different than regular beast mode.
Yes. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Get the RBF
Right.
logo with beast mode on the back.
Yeah, because regular beast mode, you'll win a race. RBF beast mode, you'll win a race in a tutu. I mean,
Yeah. That's great. All right. So how does one go about becoming a thought leader? Like, what does that mean to you?
So I think the very first thing you have to do is just overcome your fear of imposter syndrome. I think that's what stops a lot of people from becoming thought leaders.
Just define that just for the people that don't know what that means.
So imposter syndrome is kind of like earlier when I said I got this from Myron Golden. On another time I said I got this from Steve Larson. So there was a point in time where I wasn't coaching people because I didn't want to say it and not give credit.
Yeah.
And so instead of saying it and not giving credit, I just didn't say it. So I didn't coach at all. And this happened for maybe like 3 or 4 months. Because like I said, I felt like if I said their names, then they wouldn't listen to me. They would just go find them. Yeah. The truth. and it's very interesting because one of them, Myron Golden, I believe, if I remember correctly, he said this. It was something that he got from a book, but it's possible that he said it. He's full of this incredible stuff. But he said, whenever you hear something, don't take notes on what you hear. Like take notes on what you thought about from what you heard. And when I started doing that, I started really expanding upon my own material because I wasn't taking notes just based, okay, they said XYZ and I'm writing XYZ. By me writing my thoughts down, a lot of times my thoughts weren't even necessarily on their same subject matter.
Yeah.
So I have this whole avenue of information that can only be gotten from me. And once I made that realization, it allowed me to fully break away from imposter syndrome. And now I drop names like crazy. Yeah. I'm like, so this person said me this person said that. Because I'm not in competition with them. And to be honest, they have great information. And at the end of the day, I just want people to do better because the ability is in them. So it's like, yeah, go check it out. Go grow.
Have you heard of Eric Thomas?
Eric Thomas, yeah. Eric Thomas is another guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's great.
So I'm in one of his speaker groups. And at one of the live meetings down in Atlanta, he said to us, he's like, it's time for some of y'all to stop watching my videos. He's like, just stop watching my videos and start making your own. Mm-hmm. He's like, because as long as you keep watching me, you're not going to move forward in your own business. He's like, you know what you got to do. He's like, stop worrying about me and my grind. He's like, you got to get on your grind.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of grind, as an exercise, go back, listen to past episodes of Set Up and Grind.
Yeah.
And take notes on what you're hearing the people he's bringing in say. It's not hard, but just start. And you'll see once you start, you'll be like, I should have been there.
For real. You know what's funny is I go back and I listen to every video. Like right when I'm done with you, I'm going to go back to the beginning and I re-listen to it. Because sometimes subconsciously, we just say things without really catching it. Uh-huh. So like sometimes I'll be listening back. I was like, "Oh, that was good," and I have to jot it down.
Right.
It's like, that's a golden nugget right there. So,
look, man,
and I use that for more content.
Right. One of the most important things you can do is always listen and write and take notes, because when you take handwritten notes, you're freeing your mind up to grasp other things, which is why sometimes you'll listen to something, you'll go back and listen to it, and you'll hear something that you didn't hear the first time. It's because your mind was overloaded, basically. So like it went in, but it went right out. But the more notes you take as you go back and back and back, like, man, I've listened to some people like 8, 9, 10 times, and I'm still getting new things.
Yeah.
Because there's so much in there. And again, when you're taking notes on what you heard made you think about, like you have a dictionary of information by the end of the month.
So true. So true. So what can you say directly to someone listening that has imposter syndrome? How can you help them just go all in?
First, understand that you're unique. This is a nugget. Right? Robert said that he has say coming, right? Say, that's the acronym, right? S-A-Y.
Yep.
Pick it up. This is my first time hearing about it, so he's not paying me to say anything. This is my first time hearing about it. But everything reverts back to your story. I'm not the only person that sat in some meetings at 9 years old. Like, other people were in that meeting. The way that it affected me is different than the way it affected other people there. Some people, it didn't work for them. Some people, it worked for them. So it all goes back to your story. So whenever you receive new information, which is why I said pick up say, so that you understand how to communicate it. Because if you're dealing with imposter syndrome, you just don't know how to tell your story the right way yet, in an effective way. Because if it's not effective enough to you to feel free enough to share it, then it's not going to be it's not going to be effective enough for anyone else to actually receive everything in there. But that doesn't mean there's nothing in there. You just have to learn how to begin to highlight the things that are there for people to grasp and then grow from. So first thing is grab say.
I appreciate that. So the irony is when people say that they can't talk about themselves, it's like, but you can talk about a movie. You see a movie, you can talk about that Netflix special that you saw. You can talk about something that made you mad. You can talk about someone that hurt your feelings, but you can't unpackage your own story. And that's where all of your power is. Telling people about a movie isn't going to make you any money unless you're a movie reviewer. Just complaining about something, someone that hurt you isn't going to do anything for you. It's not going to become an income stream for you. But if you in turn start a podcast to talk to other people who went through the hurt that you went through, you can now put an impact on the world. You can get sponsorships for your podcast. You can get offers to be on other people's shows and get on TV segments. And it's all a mindset shift. So it's like you can take that pain and use it to push you and your family forward. So like that's what the basis of the program I'm creating is gonna do, to help people take what you already know. Like, again, I did it with you when we were talking off camera with your surgery story. It's like that story's power. You dial that story in, and you can do a lot with that.
Yeah. That was a tough time. Yeah. So what Robert's referring to is a few weeks back when we first spoke, and he literally took my story as I explained it to him, and within a matter of like 2 minutes, made it a shorter, more concise story that got to the point, but still had the emotion in it in a way that just made you be like, oh, wow. So it's incredible once you realize how powerful stories are, because stories are where it's at this moment. Like because as people don't just believe things anymore, which is why it's so lost on me how these old, outdated way of doing things is what people are pushing, and and it's like this was all pre-internet. Like, there's no way you can think that it works the same after the internet. There's too many things have changed. Too many avenues have opened up. So when you're not including the internet in what you're teaching here, I can't listen to you.
It's true.
You're cheating me at that point.
Yes, between my business page and this podcast, I said, and this is only episode number 19. and I'm being heard in 16 different countries. It's like it's insane. And why is that? The power of the internet.
Exactly.
You
Right.
know, so if you can get comfortable telling your story, taking your experiences,
Mhm.
realizing how you can relate it to other people, then you can go worldwide with your message.
Right. And everyone has a message.
Yep. Yeah.
Everyone.
Yep. And it doesn't matter if you're a CEO, doesn't matter if you're a millionaire, doesn't matter if you're a high school dropout, doesn't matter if you've been in and out of jail. And
Hmm.
anybody has a story that can inspire other people.
Right.
Everyone does. And in doing that, it's going to make you a better communicator. It's going to make you a better salesperson. It's going to probably make you a better spouse or significant other. It's going to make you a better parent because you'll know how to take your life experiences and connect them with the children, you know, so they can, instead of like, just go clean up your room, you know, like you can communicate it in a better way that you're teaching them something instead of just making them do a chore.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Because
So,
the thought of the chore, like really quick story,
yep.
for the longest, I hated doing dishes. Like literally, that was part of my pickup line way back when I was younger. When I was like, when I was in high school, or just getting out of high school, it's like, look, I'll do everything in the house as long as you do the dishes. and and then what happened is I stopped. It was what it really boiled down to is I thought dishes took forever. But it's because I would take forever to do them. I go through the whole process of, man, it's going to take forever. And then
Yeah.
I don't really want to do this right now. But then when I would just do it, they'd be done like that.
Yep.
So it's the story you tell yourself about your story.
Exactly.
So yeah.
Exactly. All right. So we only got a few minutes left. So how do people get in touch with you?
So they can reach out to me at the leagueoflegacies.com.
League
I
of
actually,
Legacies.
yes, I actually have a gift for anyone. Um, it's a session that I do. It's called Profits Unleashed. What we do is I really just we dive into your business, find out the areas where you have profits leaking, basically. We shore those up, and we make a plan there on the spot. It's a 55-minute call, and we build out where you should the best direction you should go in to increase your revenue and your profits. Because if you just increase your revenue, that's bad.
Yeah, exactly.
If your profits aren't rising with your revenue, like, no, that's not good.
Nope.
So yeah, you can go to theleagueoflegacies.com/RBF to receive to go ahead and schedule that on my calendar.
/RBF. All right, I got that down. I'll put that down in the chat as well. All right, so good stuff. Any parting words?
Parting words, take action. You know, I mentioned earlier, you know, and I didn't say this earlier, but I want to make sure I say it now. Like, definitely feel for all the families that have suffered from COVID.
Yes.
I don't want it to seem like I don't, but I am saying that this disease, this outbreak, has opened a lot of doors for people,
Yeah.
and all you have to do is start walking towards that path. You've got 18 episodes to listen to of information from Robert. Yeah, he's thorough. I know that from the short time I've known. I know he's thorough, so he's definitely hooked things up for you. He's got some things coming. Like I said, definitely jump on Say. I'll tell you right now, if you take Say seriously, and it's the way that I think that he's designing it to be, that in and of itself will add 6 figures to your business. You know, if you haven't started a business, it will allow you to create a business that gets in that 6-figure range a lot faster than what they say. So what, 2 to 3 years to become profitable? Whatever, man. They can leave me alone with that. But definitely, definitely want to take advantage of those things that are right in front of you instead of trying to go out and like, this is right in front of you. Robert is right in front. You're listening to him anyway. So just
True.
put into action what you're hearing is being said. That's all. Take action.
I'm so glad I have that recorded. Thanks, I appreciate that.
Shut up and take action.
Shut up and take action. I love it. It's gonna be my next book. All right, so again, to get in touch with Leonard, leagueoflegacies.com/RBF Fitness. Hope you guys got some solid takeaways. If you joined in late, definitely go back to the beginning. and just take notes. Take notes, and as he just said, take action. If you want to change your life, you got to shut up and grind. Have a great day, everyone.